and happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Stock Market Today. Allie Corm and Ken Shreve here to break down the action in today's session, where we saw a sell-off late in the day. So a lot of stocks getting dragged down by the end of the session. So it looks like a little bit of resistance again for the NASDAQ, Ken, at those old highs. And you are on mute.
NASDAQ was propped up for a good portion of the session by strong earnings from Microsoft and Google. So we'll take a look at Alphabet, I should say, the parent company of Google. We'll also take a look at Marriott, which is setting up ahead of next week's earnings report, and solar stocks on the move again today. So we'll take a look at the Invesco Solar ETF, ticker TAN.
Let's do it. First, checking in on the major indexes. Here's a look at the NASDAQ composite, finishing the day flat. So we can also check in on an intraday chart of QQQ, which tracks the NASDAQ 100, to just see how the selling really started ramping up here, Ken, in the last hour or so of trade. So that, again, the NASDAQ finishing flat for the day, the S&P 500 down 0.5%, the Dow down 0.75%, and the Russell 2000 down 1.8% by session's close.
Yeah, really a tough day for small caps. And I know on the video yesterday, you were talking about a stalling session for the NASDAQ, and it was really sort of an identical session today, where the NASDAQ composite rose 0.8% intraday, and it faded all the way back to break even. So NASDAQ is pushing up against all-time highs, but getting some resistance. A stalling session yesterday sure had the feel of stalling today, but you can see how heavy volume was yesterday on the NASDAQ. We're not going to get to that level today. So it sure had the feel of stalling, but we'll probably avoid a distribution day on the NASDAQ. On the S&P 500, different story. It looks like volume is a little bit higher than what we saw on Tuesday. So we could that would be the first distribution day for the S&P 500 since the follow-through day for the NASDAQ.
Okay, well, now let's take a look at GOOGL. You mentioned the strong day for Alphabet after its quarterly earnings report. Strong numbers here from Google. The stock up 5% by the end of the day. Strong volume behind the move. And although it did close off of its highs, we did get that RS line blue dot on today's breakout, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, Alphabet had a spectacular day. It closed off its highs a little bit, but still nicely in the upper half of its range. We increased the position on leaderboard today when it was in the very early stages of breaking out over this trend line. In fact, we added it before it moved over last week's high. So we are happy to increase the position today. The numbers were very good. You can see revenue growth decelerated from the second quarter, but still up 41%, $65.1 billion. There was some disappointment that the company's cloud revenue and also YouTube advertising revenue were a little bit below expectations, but you're looking at 40% plus year-over-year growth still in both of those segments. So it was a solid earnings report. Alphabet, talking about these recent privacy changes made by Apple, where Apple users can opt out of ads on certain apps. Alphabet said they're really not seeing too much of an effect from that. Facebook and Snap, of course, we're talking about that recently, but overall, a really strong report from Alphabet. It's been on leaderboard for a long time, and like I said, we increased the position today.
Yes, a strong performer this year, and we'll be keeping tabs on it to see if this can be a stock that actually follows up on a breakout. That's one of the signs that we've seen of this sector rotation, where a lot of the breakouts haven't really been sticking, but maybe Google's in a class of its own with the outperformance that it's churned out all year long. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is a topic that I know you guys discussed on IBD Live this morning. Typically when you get a buy signal from the market, which we got from the NASDAQ a couple of Thursdays ago with that follow-through day, there's a lot of stocks working and setting up and moving, but stocks breaking out of bases like Alphabet did today, having trouble following through after breakouts. So that's something to keep an eye on. And again, it was second straight pretty weak close for the market. So some yellow flags are out there, definitely.
Yes, indeed. And turning our attention to a hotel name, Marriott, ticker MAR, with a gain of 2.4% today. Looks like volume came in slightly above average, but an interesting looking setup here today, Ken.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, some hotel operators are reporting earnings next week, including Marriott. We're also going to hear from Hilton. I think the turnaround story for a lot of these travel-related stocks is still a pretty bullish one. You can see huge estimates for Marriott, and in the second quarter, they had a big surge in revenue, big surge in quarterly profits. So expectations, I think, are strong that the turnaround is going to stay intact for Marriott. Love the setup ahead of earnings. Might take a look at this one for an earnings option trade. Today could be a good setup day. We'll see if the market is going to let this run, but I think a lot of travel-related stocks are still looking pretty good here.
Yeah, and with a pretty sizable gain for the stock since mid-September, then right at that breakout point, pulled back and started to find support at the 21-day line. Now on the move again today. So that's one of the setups that we do like to see. And we have earnings a week away. So maybe investors who took advantage of this trade today can perhaps capture a quick gain in the lead up to earnings and then can assess whether or not they want to hold into the report. Or like you said, Ken, maybe this is one for the radar for after earnings and you could take advantage of an option here.
Yeah, so Marriott, with the market selling off late, Marriott did hold on to its gains. You can see it really didn't give up much ground. It closed pretty much near its session high, so that's pretty impressive. And volume has been on the move, increasing slightly for 3 straight sessions. So we'll see what the results look like next week, which is going to be another very busy week of earnings.
Yes, it is. And the solar theme is one that we've been covering more closely over the last couple of weeks. And now with earnings reports coming in from names in that group, including Enphase, the TAN ETF from Invesco is also seeing a pop. Closed up about 5% today. Some nice volume has been coming into this ETF, Ken.
Yeah, disappointing close, but it definitely got dragged down with the broad market here. Seeing a lot of charts today where early gains faded badly, but like you said, still up about 5% for the session. This one is still in the early stages of breaking out of a little bottoming base here. Yeah, you can either look at the daily chart here or the weekly, right, and draw that line here. And this still looks like it's in the early stages of a breakout. Relative strength rating of 51 is not all that impressive, but it is an ETF that is breaking out of a bottoming base here. So I think it's compelling. Going to hear from a lot of solar stocks next week. First Solar, Solar Edge, and today was Enphase, which was up huge, ENPH. That was a big reason why Invesco was able to move like it did today. Enphase reported strong earnings and also gave pretty bullish revenue guidance as well. So still like the solar stocks and like the way TAN is working here. And like I said, still looks to be in the early stages of a nice breakout.
Yeah, and even though it is about 11% above its 10-week line, it's about 7.2% above its 40-week line with that bottoming base, as you said. But we also pointed out a couple of weeks ago some early entries here. On IBD Live, we were talking about maybe an aggressive entry with a declining tops trend line with heavy volume coming into the stock on the 11th of October. And then also following up the next day, getting back above the 50-day line, even heavier volume in there, getting above the 200-day line. We were also talking about it. So there have been a lot of opportunities to start building this position in the lead up to today's action where it cleared this 93.59 bottoming base pivot.
Yeah, the trend line breakouts always give you an early entry into a stock. It often happens before an actual breakout takes place, and that was certainly the case with Invesco, which started moving a couple of weeks ago. So, like I said, we had an initial position here. We liked the gap up today. It was holding gains, so we increased the position just a little bit. But like I said, happy to have this one in the leaderboard portfolio.
Yeah, well done to the leaderboard team there. Ken, thank you so much for that analysis today, and to everyone for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow morning with more on IBD Live. So we hope you join us for more real-time stock analysis and a breakdown of overall market conditions as well. So we'll see you there tomorrow morning, investors.com/IBD Live. Bye, everyone.